Okay, for the rec, the proposition is going to be God exists. I'm going to be taking the affirmative. 10 is going to be taking the negation. So I'm going to put the argument in the side chat, and you can let me know which premise, if any, do you deny? Because all of these are obviously true. So give me 1 second. I'm actually going to put it in general chat because it's easier that way. Hold on 1 second. Here we go. Now let me know if you deny any of the premises, bitch boy. And one preliminary is that we're defining God as a necessary being, full stop. So yeah, go ahead.
My bad. I'm sorry. Define God again. My bad.
A necessary being, full stop. Yeah, man, that's the
God is
definition.
just defined. Okay, what's the argument?
It's in general chat. You can let me know if you deny
General
any of the
chat.
premises.
All right. It's not in chat.
It should be. No, it is in general chat.
Oh, general chat. Thought you were talking about
Yeah, I'm not able to put it inside chat for a reason. It's fine though.
All right, let's see. It's not loading. Oh, there it is. Okay. P1. Is this just like the same argument, or you guys revised it? Hold on, let me see.
Well, this isn't even the most updated version. This is about version 5. We're on version 10 right now. But yeah, I'm beating you with a non-upgraded version of the argument because that's how.
Oh, oh, of course. You're beating me. So,
Well, I'm going to beat you at least.
well, okay. This argument, I think that it's kind of you're already building the answer into the modal packaging. So, I mean, I think that okay, if I accept your specific bridge between possibility, contingency, and explanation there, and necessity, then I can be pushed towards a necessary thing. But that's exactly the bridge that I would say would
And
be
what
under
bridge
the
are you talking
discussion,
about?
and I just explained it.
You said if you accept the bridge between possibility, contingency, and necessity, then you're pushed towards a necessary thing. I'm asking, what bridge are you talking about, Lo? It's a clarity question.
That's the bridge. Are you listen? Okay, so let's say
Are you talking about the argument or a specific premise, or like what are we talking about here when you say bridge?
talking about this shit entirely. It's like we can talk about
Yeah, no shit. If
the
you
rule
accept the whole
governing.
argument, you get a necessary thing. No fucking shit,
No,
dumbass
oh
bitch.
my god.
It's a
Yeah,
valid
that's what
argument.
I was saying.
You just said a whole lot of nothing. You just
That's
said
what I
if
was
I
saying.
accept
So
your
listen.
argument, then you get a
So
necessary thing.
what theory?
What the fuck? That
Okay.
that adds absolutely nothing to the dialectic. I'm gonna need you to
Okay.
lock in for me.
What theory of explanation is underwriting this?
Yeah, counterfactual dependency.
Counterfactual dependency is the theory of
With
explanation.
asymmetry, transitivity, and reflexivity. Yep.
What? What? Excuse me.
Asymmetry, transitivity, and reflexivity.
Okay.
Irreflexivity, I mean.
And so, what modal principle connects the impossibility of any necessary thing to the impossibility of an external explanation for a contingent thing?
Yeah, well, that's just because external explanations are the kind of explanations where the explanans and explanandum are not of the same class, right? And class is going to be the mode of being, right? It's the ontic profile. And given that there's a dichotomy between contingent and necessary, right? The ontic profile of an external explanation, if it's external to a contingent thing, would have to be necessary.
Okay. I think there's a lot of
You're
problems with
getting
both
fucked.
answers.
You're actually getting fucked in the ass right now, and I'm not even like
Okay.
being too
You relax.
rhetorical.
I think the
Like I'm chilling.
counterfactual, the counterfactual dependence by itself doesn't really generate the necessity or get you what you want there. I think all this is saying is that,
No,
like, if
nobody said
the
it generates a
exponent,
necessity. What
listen,
you're just deliberating now. You're
that's
just
what I'm
saying we're
saying it's not doing. So
yeah,
all
I
this is saying
know.
is that if the
Counterfactual
exponent,
dependency alone
why
doesn't
are you
generate
interrupting me?
necessity.
Can you relax?
Wow,
Okay.
you're saying the most
So
obvious
if
shit in
the
the world.
exponent,
Wow.
okay. So you're saying, okay, this is all this is saying. If the exponents there were absent and the exponendum would be absent, I think that's fine. Is that what you're saying?
Nobody said anything about the absence of an explanandum. What
Okay, then refine what you're saying then,
I'm
please.
gonna say it nice and slow for you one more time, because I
Hmm.
don't know. Like, are you this? How long have you been debating for? I'm just curious.
Just give me a response. Give me like just recapitulate what you're saying properly so I can
Okay.
understand.
So you asked me for the justification for premise one, and I'm
I
saying,
know I
look,
didn't.
yeah, you asked me how, if there's no necessary thing, could the contingent thing not possibly have an external explanation, right? You're basically asking me to justify premise one indirectly, so I'm gonna do that for you now. Okay. External explanations are the kind of explanations where the explanans and the explanandum have a different ontic profile. And what that means is there's a different mode of being there. And mode of being is just going to be, whether or not the thing is contingent or necessary, right? Given the dichotomy, there's two modes of beings, right?
Hmm.
And we want to say, well, look, given that external explanations are those, right? Given the dichotomy, right? You take any contingent thing in the world, right? Any contingent thing, or even a possible contingent thing, right? You take this possible contingent thing and you say, look,
Why does
given if
external
there's no necessary
explanation
being,
mean different ontic profile?
that's analytically true.
So
That's just your
external
version of it.
explanation meaning relax. I didn't ask you for a definition of analytic. So external.
You're getting killed right now. This is bad, bro.
I'm sorry. Excuse me. Like, did you hear what I said? No, you said it's analytically true, right?
Mm-hmm. It's in the definitions.
Yeah. Okay. I think you're conflating stipulation with proof there.
What did I stipulation with proof? What the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah.
You understand
So
the definition by manipulative
if you're
nature, right?
deciding to use external explanation to mean different ontic profile, I think that's fine. But then obviously you don't get to turn around and act like a necessity conclusion follows naturally or neutrally from reality.
Are you saying that the argument's invalid?
Excuse me?
Are you saying that the argument's invalid? Because that's the only possible interpretation of what you're saying that's not retarded. So I'm gonna ask you: are you saying that the argument's invalid?
No, validity isn't an issue. I said under your
So the
definition,
argument, so
the
the
argument.
argument does follow from the definitions then.
No,
In which
that's
case,
not.
you just
You're not
contradicted yourself.
understanding.
You're
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 not understanding
retarded.
what I'm saying. You're not understanding what I'm saying. So listen,
Yeah, I grant you, I'm
under
not
your
understanding it, and that you're
definition,
saying fucking gibberish.
okay, under your definition, the argument may very well be formally valid. I think that's fine. I can grant
Mhm.
that for the sake of the argument, okay? But validity is
So it's
something that's
proof
cheap.
or
We say validity is cheap, right? So you can have a perfectly valid argument with question begging premises, unstable definitions, or controversial semantic assumptions within the argument there, and undefended bridges.
what is it
So
question begging?
obviously, so listen, I'm just saying that's what could happen. So listen, obviously,
No shit, it's logically possible that my argument is question
okay,
begging.
so I'm gonna.
No shit, you're saying the most obvious. Look, you started off by saying if I accept your premises, I get the conclusion. Right? That's obvious. Then you said something about how analytic true. I don't know what you said, but you're just saying the most obvious shit right now. No shit, it's possible that the argument's question begging. We want to know whether or not it is the case that it's question begging. Do you think it's question begging? Yes or no, retard? Answer that.
Do I think the argument's question begging? So
Yep.
yeah, it's obviously question begging.
Okay, what's the argument for that claim?
So you define external explanation as requiring a different ontic profile. Then you define
Mm-hmm.
the only other ontic profile available to a contingent thing as necessity, right? Then you're obviously concluding contingent things require necessity. That is obviously textbook question begging because the necessity conclusion is already built into the premise about what counts as an external explanation. If
Wait,
external explanation
and the necessity conclusion here is going to be
yeah,
conclusion 3,
to be
right?
defined as merely numerically distinct or causally prior or structurally
Oh
prior
my god,
or
Jesus.
explanatorily prior, then contingent explainers there remain available and the necessity that we could be talking about, the conclusion there, doesn't follow. So obviously, yes, under my
Okay,
account,
so I'm gonna ask
argument is
you,
question begging because
so
the premise already assumes exactly what the conclusion is attempting to prove.
so premise 1 assumes that there's a necessary thing. Is that what you're charging me with right now? I just want to be very clear on the. I just want to be stay very succinct. Is
No,
that
I'm
what you're
saying
charging me
premise
with?
one assumes. No, I'm saying, okay, relax. I'm saying premise one assumes the necessity requirement, not the existence of a necessary thing outright. These things are different.
Premise
You're
1 assumes the
confused.
necessity requirement.
That's what I said.
What does it mean to say what is a necessity requirement? Are you just talking about the requirement for the external explanation?
Yeah, a necessity requirement is the rule. Sorry, a necessity requirement is the rule that says an external explanation for a contingent thing must ultimately involve something necessary.
Premise 1 doesn't assume that, by the way. Nowhere. Premise 1 is talking about the possibility space. Premise
Premise one
1
is
is
talking about what?
analytically the case. Yeah, premise 1 is just analytically true, but
No,
also
that doesn't say it.
it
So
doesn't
if you're
talk
saying,
about
okay,
it doesn't
listen.
commit you to any synthetic facts. But also Val said he
So
wants to
listen.
conclude, so we can conclude here. I don't want to waste my time on you. You're fucking trash.
So,
You're
anyways, as I
actually
was saying,
horrible and you're getting killed right
why?
now. And you don't even
I don't
understand anything that's coming out of
listen.
my mouth.
I don't. What the fuck? Okay. Anyways, so as I said, right. So if you're saying it's a
But we are
possibility space,
forcing closings because Val said he
listen,
wants to
I'm not
conclude.
forcing closing. I don't give a fuck what Val wants to conclude.
Well,
Why?
the
Why are you guys
judge
doing that?
the judge can force closings, Nick. Are you stupid?
When was that ever stipulated? I'm confused. When was that ever
That's always
stipulated?
that's always how it's been
When
in
has
the
that
KG
always been
lounge.
the case? When has that always been the case in the KG lounge? Is that a rule set?
That's
Can you
always
show me that rule?
that's always how it's been in the
So we're
KG
gonna
lounge.
continue
Judges
debating.
can force closings, nigga.
We're gonna continue debating. Can you relax? So,
So we're
anyways,
gonna put you on server mute, and I'm gonna get my closing statement because the judge said he wants to conclude, and the judge has the ability to force closing. So I'm going to give my closing statement first, and then you're gonna give your closer, and this debate is gonna be over. Okay. So this is what we're going to do. I'm gonna get my closer. Um, it sounded to me like you didn't really bring into contention the true value of any of the premises. You just said obvious shit. You accuse the argument of question begging, even though premise 1 doesn't commit you to any synthetic facts at all, and the conclusion is a synthetic fact, so I don't understand how it's question begging. That's not even true. And then, yeah, I mean, You're just retarded. You said the most obvious shit. You started off by saying, "Oh, if I accept your argument, I'm motivated towards a necessary being." It's like, no shit, dude. It's a valid argument. But yeah, you can give your closer now. You're gonna have 3 minutes on the clock. So go ahead, dude.
This is like corny as fuck. So obviously, if you can read the chat, Val said, if we do not want to conclude, we do not have to. So therefore, I'm going to keep on critiquing your argument, okay? Because you're garbage. So as I was saying, right? More so when you say that this thing is talking about a possibility space, that just pushes the necessity requirement back one modal level we can be talking about. So obviously now the rule, it changes into, if no necessary thing is possible, then no contingent thing could possibly have an external explanation. But obviously that's why, right? So you would still need the bridge between that. Obviously you still need a bridge there, right? All this is simply saying is that the possible external explanation for a contingent thing depends on the possibility of a necessary thing. So that is still the necessity requirement just modalized there, obviously. And you're still ruling out the possibility of a contingent explainers or contingent external explainers or possible contingent explanatory chains or brute contingent explainers or explanations, not explainers, or relational or structural contingent explanations there, right? So under your schema, the very possibility of external explanations there is conditional on the possibility of necessity. That's the
Well,
assumption.
nobody. Well, I just want to make this very clear. Nobody wrote out the possibility of bro facts being explainers. Nobody wrote out the possibility of things that are unexplained. Nobody wrote any of that out. The argument doesn't talk about any of those, right? Those are compatible with the argument because the argument is literally called the argument from possible explanations, right? Nowhere in the argument does it even posit that this necessary thing does any explaining at all. So you're actually retarded when you say that, oh, this rules out this infinite regress, or oh, this rules out these brute facts. No, it doesn't. If you think it does, show me exactly which premise you think is in
I
conflict
don't
with
think
those.
I don't think
So
it's
can you show
compatible.
me?
If the argument is only about the possibility of explanations, as you're saying, and not obviously about whether the necessary thing actually explains anything, then the conclusion is weaker than obviously than you're pretending it to be. Because all you're shown
Conclusion's
here is that
weaker?
all you've shown is this is literally all you've shown.
What does it mean for the conclusion to be weaker? The conclusion is that there's a
I'm gonna
necessary thing, and I
explain.
told you I'm
I'm
defining
gonna
God as a
explain.
necessary thing.
I'm gonna
So
explain.
what the fuck?
All you've shown is that if contingent things could possibly have external explanations, then obviously some necessary thing must be possible. Then maybe some necessary thing is necessary. Like that's. But
Not
then
maybe.
why
A
did I
necessary
even
thing
care?
is necessary in
Obviously,
virtue of the premise.
do you think you still have explanatory force
Do you
there?
think
Because
if
you
you
obviously don't
do,
get
do
to
you think if
excel
you accept
arguments
if you
for
accept
necessary
premise
ground.
3, hold on. Do you think if you accept premise 3 and conclusion 1 that you don't get a necessary thing? Do you think that's even like an entailment? Can you accept premise 3 and conclusion 1 and not get a necessary thing? Can you accept both of those?
You get whatever your notion of necessary cashes out to. That's the entire
So you
issue that
do
I'm
get a
having.
necessary thing. So it
No,
does
Liz,
prove
I'm
a
going to
necessary thing.
explain. No, that's not what I'm agreeing to. You're literally confused.
You're
From
you're
conclusion
you're
one
disagreeing that the
plus the
argument
premise
shows that
three,
there's a necessary thing?
relax. From conclusion one to premise three, at best, obviously, you get something that falls under your model or your modal category of necessary. And I can
So then
grant that
the
for the sake of
argument's
the
valid and
argument.
the conclusion
No,
goes
that's
through,
not what I'm
retard.
saying, you absolute idiot. If you're not tracking, you have to track. So obviously, that doesn't automatically entail or automatically get you to a necessary explainer or a necessary ground or a necessary being
Nobody said
underwriting
anything about a
contingent
necessary
reality
explainer.
or a
Nobody said
metaphysically
anything about
ultimate
any of those.
foundation. So please
Yeah,
explicate the
nobody
view.
said anything
Explicate the
about any
view.
of those.
Explicate the view then.
Nobody said anything about a necessary explainer or foundation for reality. Nobody said anything about any of those at all. By the way, so you're confused on what the argument's saying. The argument just wants to show that there's at least one necessary
The
thing,
argument
right?
wants to show what? I'm sorry?
If you read conclusion 3 and you see the existential operator applied, right, you can see that the conclusion is there's at least one necessary thing. Right. Nowhere does it say this necessary thing explains anything. Nowhere does it say that this necessary thing is the foundation for reality. Nowhere does it commit you to any other metaphysical commitments outside of just there being a necessary thing, retard. So how about you get off the ChatGPT and actually lock in for me real quick? Because I
Okay,
can
what
tell
do you
you're
define?
using it because you're being
Yeah,
overly
okay.
you're being
Yeah, so
retarded.
what do you define God as again?
A necessary thing. Said this
God
on
is
the
a
onset.
necessary thing.
Did you forget?
No, I just had to
Do you need
clarify.
your dementia pills, bitch? Do you
Okay,
need your
so
Alzheimer pills, nigga? You
okay,
forgot the one thing that I said on the onset, the only preliminary that
I'm
I
gonna
had
wait for
before
him
we
to be
started this
I'm gonna
debate.
wait for him to be done. Okay,
No, I'm done.
I
Go
think
ahead.
you're changing. So if the argument is only supposed to establish that there is at least one necessary thing, then obviously the conclusion is a little bit thinner than obviously you would usually pretend, right? So
What does it
obviously
mean
the
for a
second,
conclusion to be thin? What does that
yeah,
mean?
I'm gonna explain. So
Define it. What does it
when
mean
you
for a
say things
conclusion to be
that
then?
God is a necessary thing, yeah, okay. When you say things that God is a necessary thing, I think you're adding an extra bridge that you're not justifying the extra bridge that you're giving there.
Well, what
That
bridge
doesn't
is that?
follow. Like our argument there is that simply saying, oh, some X is
It
necessary,
wouldn't
right?
even be a bridge if you understand bridges to be synthetic facts, then this wouldn't even be a bridge because it's all analytic, right? The analyticity just is a necessary thing, right? That's the definitions of the definiendum, dumbass.
Listen,
What the
that's
fuck are
literally
you
really,
talking
really
about a bridge
confused.
for?
Where you're calling
I'm
it,
not
wait,
committing
listen,
any
listen, that's
synthetic
confused.
facts
It's
by
confused. That's
defining the
confused.
term.
That's confused. If you define God as a necessary being, then sure, analytically, once you get a necessary thing, you get God by definition. Then obviously you're proving nothing interesting there. You just stipulated that God equals
Proving
necessary
nothing
thing, and
interesting.
there is a necessary thing, therefore God exists. That's not a discovery about reality. That's a
Do you
definitional
conclude?
exercise.
Do,
What the
do you
fuck?
conclude? Do you agree that there's a necessary
How does
thing?
this cash out? That's circular.
What circular?
I just explained.
You don't even know what the hell you're saying. What exactly are you saying is circular? Let's lock in on that for a sec.
Oh my
Because
God.
you're
Okay, I'll
actually
explain
saying
one
the
more
most
time.
retarded shit in
So
the world.
listen, I'll explain one more time. So
No, I
listen,
don't want you to
the
explain anything. I want
circularity
you to
is
tell me what I'm
listen, I'll
doing that's
explain.
circular.
The circularity, I'll explain what's circular, you retard. The
Okay.
circularity is in the definitional route from necessary thing to God. So if you're saying God just is a necessary thing,
Definitional
I don't
routes?
disagree. If
It's
look,
a
listen,
stipulated
listen. If
definition,
you're
dumbass.
saying God is just a necessary thing, the argument gives at least one necessary thing, therefore God exists. Then the
Mm-hmm.
God conclusion there is circular in the sense that you've built the target term,
What
and
does it
target
mean to be
term.
circular?
Oh my God, goodness gracious, what?
Oh, you want me to repeat? Yeah. What does it mean to be circular?
What does it mean to be circular?
Yeah, dumbass. I just asked it for the third time.
Okay,
What
I
does it mean
mean,
to be
we
circular?
can take circularity. Relax. We could take circular just to mean that the conclusion is already doing whatever the work inside of the premises. I think I already defined this earlier.
The conclusion is doing the work inside of the premises.
Yeah, the
What the
premises
fuck are you
definitions
saying?
or
What
standards being
on
used to
God's
derive
what
it.
on planet Earth are you saying right now, dude? You need to hop that ass off the chat GPT. This shit is melting your brain. Okay,
Is there a
conclusion is
problem with my
doing the work.
definition?
Hold on. Conclusion is doing the work inside the premises. What does that mean?
I said
Can
that
you further reduce that?
circular just means that the conclusion is doing the work inside of the premises definition or
Can
standards
you
being
can
used to
you
derive
further
it.
can you
Obviously,
further reduce that?
an example could just mean that God is whatever is necessary, and there is something necessary, and therefore God exists. Like that is circular, or at least we could say it's parasitic because the conclusion God there is already being built into the definition of God.
You understand that if anything X fulfills the definitional characteristic of being necessary, then it's God, right? Because we're defining God as the sole definitional characteristic of being necessary. So if you have anything that fulfills that definitional characteristic, then it's necessary. You're literally just gibberating. What the fuck does it mean to say that the conclusion is doing the work inside the premises? Is that just to say that the definition is in the premises? Is that all that's saying? Because if
I don't
so,
think
there's no
God is
fucking
doing any
problem.
interesting work in your argument there. Like a necessary truth would count as God, or a law of logic would count as God, a mathematical object would
I don't
count as God,
accept that
a
any of
necessary
those are
proposition
necessary, first
would
of
count as
all.
God. So either, okay, I'm gonna give you a fork because you're
What's
retarded.
the argument that the laws of logic are necessary?
Listen, so either I
Wait,
gave you
hold
a
on. Stop
multitude of
talking.
things.
Stop talking.
So
Let's lock in.
either
What's the
so either
argument that the laws of
you
logic?
why are you
No, stop
interrupting me?
talking.
Goodness
Stop talking.
gracious.
Because
Okay.
you just committed yourself to a claim and you just gave yourself a burden. You said the laws of logic would count as God, insofar as they would be necessary. So what's the argument that the laws of logic are necessary, bitch? Go ahead and fulfill that burden, pussy.
Well, okay. So essentially, like that's I don't need the
Fulfill the
laws of
burden.
logic to actually be necessary for the pressure
So
that I'm
then it
talking
wouldn't
about
count
here.
as God.
No. Listen.
Hooray!
I'm
Wow,
gonna explain. Stop interrupting
you
me.
just
So
contradicted
all I would
yourself again.
need, listen, relax. All I would need
You're
is a
fucking
rival
ass.
candidate. Do you understand what a rival candidate is? All I would need is a
I want to
rival candidate
conclude.
that
Can we
could
conclude,
satisfy.
please? Can we
Oh,
conclude?
now he's trying to dodge. Now he's trying to
Can we
dodge.
conclude?
Listen. Can we do talking sticks? So listen.
Nobody's
All
trying
I
to
would
dodge. No
need,
how. Can
listen,
we conclude,
okay,
please?
so let me talk then. All I would need is a rival
Of how?
candidate
I don't want
that
to
could
debate this nigga no more. He's
satisfy
lost.
your thin
Can we conclude?
definition of God. If it turned out to be necessary, obviously. Because you were the one who defined God as whatever is necessary. So under your own schema, if logical truths or mathematical truths or propositions, principles or like abstract objects are necessary, then obviously they count as God as well. That's the problem. That is your problem. It's
They
not
count
my problem.
if they're necessary, then they count as God. Okay, no shit. But what's the argument that they're necessary, bitch?
What's the argument that they're necessary?
Yeah, this is not the reductio that you want because you're gonna give yourself an even bigger burden because you would have to prove that they're necessary. So
like you're
are
very
you sure
confused.
you
All
want
right,
to do?
okay, listen, I'm
Are you
gonna
sure
answer
you
this
want to go
again.
down this road?
You're very confused. You're very confused. So
Are
listen,
you sure you want to go down this
you're very
road?
confused. You're very confused. You're very
You
confused. So
said
listen,
okay. Look, hold on. I'm gonna type this in the chat, and if you don't give an
okay,
argument for this
listen, you're
claim,
very
then this is
confused.
a huge nothing
Listen,
burger. Hold
I
on.
do
I'm
not.
gonna type
I'll explain. I'll explain. I'll exhaust why I don't need to do this. So listen, I don't need to defend that they're necessary because I'm not the one arguing they are. You're missing the point. So let me explain what I'm talking about. Listen, I'm giving rival candidates that would satisfy your definition if they were necessary. Then the pressure that I'm talking about is that
no
your
shit. If
definition
they're
of God
necessary, then
is
they're
built
God.
in to
Why the fuck
distinguish
should I
God
care?
from any other necessary entity. So if your argument, okay, if you want an
But
argument, then
also,
obviously,
you're
okay,
kind of
listen, okay,
backtracking now because you did
let's
say
say,
logic is
so
God.
let's say,
You
people
said
argue
logic.
laws of logic are necessary. Listen,
You
I'll
said
give you,
logic
an argument.
would
I'll give you
be
an
God.
argument. Okay, people argue laws of logic are necessary because
You're gonna
denying
give an
that,
argument
okay, denying them appears performatively self-undermining.
performatively self-undermining. Can you give an example?
Yeah, the second that you
Like,
would argue
let's say I'm a
against
dilate. Hold
non-contradiction,
on. Let's say
I'm giving an example.
let's
I'm giving
imagine
an
for a
example.
second.
The second that you would argue against non-contradiction, identity or entailment, obviously you're still using inferential norms to make the argument there.
Okay, look,
This is
let's
your
imagine for a sec that I'm a dilateist and I accept that the Russell's paradox is a true contradiction, right? What's
explicate what
problematic
you mean.
about that? Yeah, the Russell's paradox is that
Explicate
theory.
the Russell's paradox and
Yeah,
explicate
the
the
Russell's
dialectic.
paradox just wants to say you can imagine a set, which is the set of all sets that don't contain themselves, right? And if that set doesn't contain itself, it should be a part of that set. But if it if it is a part of that set, then it shouldn't contain itself because the set has all the sets that don't contain themselves. And I'm saying, look, let's just imagine that that's a true contradiction. I'm asking, what's problematic about that? I
No,
actually
I don't
think
want to
that's
force
intuitive
conclusion.
insofar as it gives us a solution to the paradox that doesn't require you can just
So,
accept that it's a contradiction and then it's not a
so
problem.
listen.
So what's
Okay,
problematic about accepting that?
okay, I think that only works if contradiction is harmless on your schema there. Like we can obviously take a rival
Harmless.
view here
What
where
does it mean
where
to be
true
harmless?
contradictions. Listen. Okay, I'm gonna explain. So we can obviously take a rival view, obviously, or we can take it here where true contradictions are not just weird facts. They destabilize inferential practice, unless obviously you
Yeah, I
yourself,
deny
Mr. Capp,
principle of
give a
explosion. What
logic
about it,
that
bitch?
contains.
I deny POC. What
Or
about it, bitch?
you deny PO. What do you mean? What do you mean when you say that?
Yeah, principle of explosion, which is what you're talking about when you say it erodes the inferential norms. It just wants to say that from any contradiction, anything can follow, right? And I'm saying I deny that principle. So what now, bitch?
What do you mean by you deny it? Like what?
I deny it, right? I can operate under a pair of consistent logic where it's not a fucking thing. You deny the principle. It's axiomatic that it's denied. Dumbass.
It's axiomatic that it's denied. Okay,
Yeah.
hold on. Then obviously all you're doing there. Okay, so let's say you deny the explosion, right?
You don't
Then
think
you
that it's
deny
trivially
P and
true
not
that under
P.
certain pair of
Okay,
consistent logics?
you deny that P and not P gives arbitrary Q God. I mean good, right?
What?
You
What are you
deny
talking
that
about
P and
good?
not P gives arbitrary Q. Yes or no?
Yeah, I deny. Yo,
Okay, so now
Vali's
cash
first
out
concluding.
why I should buy your consequence relation over
Hold
classical one.
on. We're first concluding now. We're actually first
Wait, hold on,
concluding.
hold on. Cash out why I should buy that over the classical one.
Yeah. Well, I
Speak.
was gonna give him an answer and then we can conclude. So I'm gonna answer that last question and then we're gonna conclude. It's intuitive insofar as it gives us a solution to Russell's paradox. There you go. That's the reason why we should accept it. But yeah, we're gonna conclude now. So I'm gonna give my closing statement and yeah. So my opponent here is just absolutely retarded. I mean, you guys watch what happened. He just got absolutely slaughtered. I don't even really think I have to say too much. I don't have to overexert my brain power to go over the blunders that he made because
Bro,
if I try to
I'm not gonna
repeat
lie,
them,
you guys don't even
it's gonna
need
hurt
to
my
get
brain power.
closings, bro.
But yeah, you can go ahead and give your
Okay, I think 10-1. No, I'm just kidding. I think Cap won. Like no diff. Probably.
What?
Yeah.
They got no dip. I'm about to end this rectum.
My
Light work.
attention
You suck.
to the what? Nigga, what?